about Nashville for a second. Back in 1983, a cable channel dedicated to country music and them good old boys, known as the Nashville Network, debuted. It mainly focused around country music shows such as You Can Be a Star and Nashville Now. But also on that network were some game shows, and they were all good. The original one was Fandango, hosted by Bill Anderson, and the show we're going to be talking about today is a card game show, which is pretty much a variant on Gambit, just Nashville'd up and gussied up to actually be really good. So let's head on down to the Nashville Network and watch us some Top Card. Yeehaw! God, I sound like a tool.
On Gilligan's Island, Tina Louise portrayed an actress with what first name? The correct answer to that question could win one of our contestants this elegant Buick Regal, or this sporty Mitsubishi Prius, or one of these other exciting prizes on Top Card.
Top Card is a game show that melds blackjack with trivia. Replacing the long-running Fandango on April of 1989, 3 players had to answer questions and hope to get to 21 without busting. It's like Gambit, but with more emphasis on strategy and getting questions right than blind luck. In many ways, it improves on the Gambit formula to where I personally think it's much better than Gambit. I'll make that defense in a bit, but there's a redemption story to be had here. And that redemption story belongs to the host. He replaced the legend on his first show. It lasted 1 season, and then when he had a pilot for another show that we talked about earlier in this series, he got replaced by said legend. So let's talk about Mr. Red Boxes himself, Jim Caldwell.
And now, here's the host of Top Card, the very popular Jim Caldwell.
Thank you. What a great studio audience. Everybody's here. We're going to have some fun, and glad you could join us for another edition of Top Card, the game that combines knowledge, strategy, and good old luck of the draw.
Jim Caldwell is mainly known for hosting Tic-Tac-Toe after Wink Martindale left, so that he could focus on his own production company and host Headline Chasers. Jim tried his best with the show, but early episodes show how ill at ease he was taking over for a legend. However, he got better as time wore on, and by the end he was a very capable host. That capability carried over to Top Card. He started off well and got much better as his tenure wore on. By the end, he would have done well on any other show he would have been given. Sure, Jim would have his quirks, but he would have kept those to a minimum and focused more on the game at hand and making the contestants feel right at home. He's also flanked by his co-host and card dealer, Blake Pickett. Blake had been a staple on Fandango since the show revamped itself in 1986. She had the same role on this show as she did on Fandango. She'd help introduce the contestants, flip over things that need to be flipped, and model the prizes. She also played off Jim well in the intros of the show, so it's all thumbs up. So we got a good group hosting the show and co-hosting the show, so now we all have to focus on is the gameplay. And as I said before, it's a variation on Gambit, but it's a well-done variation on Gambit. The front game is the variant of Gambit with a board that has a card version of Tic-Tac-Toe. Or just looks like it. The objects get to 21 to get closest than both of your opponents. The contestant in control picks a category from the board, with the center being always a wildcard question. Jim would ask a question, and the first person to buzz with the correct answer gets control. They are then shown the card that's behind it. They can either take that card or take the top card from Blake's deck. They take the top card, then the category and the card behind it stay in the game. Contestants can freeze if they'd like, and in this game, the first person to freeze gets the last chance to play if need be. Like, for example, if one contestant freezes on 19, another contestant freezes on 20, that 19 will unfreeze and try to get to 21. This opens up a nice level of strategy, but it can be exploited to where one person can pick any category, only take the top cards until they freeze or luck out and get 21. One more note is that the aces only count as 1. I don't mind it that much, since only having a 2-card round can be seen as too quick, and that can make for some unbearable stretching, which is something that Jim Caldwell isn't as adept as doing as one would like. Plus, it makes the game a bit more fair than your standard game of 21. The first person to get to 21, or the last one standing, wins the round, advances to round 3, and gets a nice prize. Round 2 features the 2 who lost out in round 1. They play a one-on-one version with a wildcard question to start off. It's the same gameplay as before, with the winner playing the round 1 winner in one final game and also gets a prize for doing so. Round 3, known as the championship round, has the round 1 winner pick a category to start things off, and the winner of that round wins a prize and advances the bonus round for a shot at the grand prize. I find the format to be quite fair, since it allowed the runners up to have one more shot at the grand prize. Now, it just seems like the whole format took the Gambit formula and made it work. Now, the bonus game, Top Card Plus, was also easy to figure out. The champ was shown 6 prizes and picked one from a deck held by Jim. After that, the contestant gets their bankroll from the first 5 cards that Blake has on her deck, and that's also done in hundreds of dollars. Then the champ buys prizes from the board, and the makes the choice of taking the card behind the prize or the top card. The trick is they can't go over 21 or hit a joker. Yep, we're getting to that bury and right get X before hitting Y style of endgame. You know, I used to enjoy these style of endgames, but the fact that they get into lack of strategy starts to bore me. But still, it's an enjoyable game and show altogether. And you know what? Jim was good, and the game was lively, and there was never a dull moment. In short, thumbs up. Season 1 was a good season. However, a lot of the TNN viewers did miss having that music-centered game show that they loved with Fandango. So, when Season 2 rolled around in April of 1990, some much-needed changes were made to appease the viewers.
Today, they're here to face Jim McClarty from Smyrna, Tennessee, our returning champion. And one of them could win this Mitsubishi Eclipse or any one of these other shiny new automobiles on the all-new musical Top Card. And now, here's the host of Top Card, Jim Caldwell.
For starters, all the questions were music-based, as noted by the intro saying it was the all-new musical Top Card, which I could take or leave. Then they switched up the main game by having just one Ace-10 on the board with the full deck being with Blake. Also, once a category was chosen, that category and the card went out of play. Not only that, the wild card question was only used when the board was all used up. I could understand that change in dynamic since a lot of contestants in Season 1 would run a category to the ground and keep on taking the top card until they needed that category card to hit 21. I do think this is more streamlined than before, but also runs into a dangerous spot where they can record too little show than too much. For my money though, it's kind of a wash. Also, Top Card Plus got revamped. Instead of choosing a card from Jim, indicating which prize they would play for, they simply pick a card in between breaks randomly. And not only that, instead of the bankroll and simply buying prizes and cards, contestants have to earn that prize and the card behind it by answering a question in one of the 8 daily categories. Getting it right won the prize and the card behind it, which they could keep or take the top card. They do this up to 4 times until they either hit 21, bust, hit a joker, or go 4 turns, or freeze. Just like before, they could stay on until they win the bonus game and the card. I also think this is the better endgame as it had more depth. Needless to say, the show was an upgrade from the previous season, and I enjoyed it quite much. In 1991, when Season 3 hit, there'd be more changes. The biggest one being Jim Caldwell and Blake Pickett leaving the show. They would be replaced by Dan Miller and Paige Brown, respectively. Dan Miller has some hosting cred with You Too Can Be a Star, and when he took over, it was still a really good show. I don't know what Blake Pickett did, but when Jim Caldwell left, he would do stuff like this.
Got any load yet?
Oh, we got a lot of load, Jim.
We're up to 120 horsepower, 139, 160, 185, 246, 240, 224, 254, 260, 292, 302, 348, 409, 453, 473, 482, 520, 525 with no! Unbelievable! I don't believe it! Oh my God! Oh my, get in here! Unbelievable! Look.
I've been waiting over 7 years to finally be able to play that clip for you. It was well worth it. I love that clip. 525 with no! Unbelievable! In short, Top Card was a great show. I enjoy it very much, and I wish it was reran somewhere. It got canceled in 1993 when the show's rating was starting to dip. It got replaced by another music show called 10 Seconds, produced by the same people and also hosted by Dan Miller. It didn't last that long, and I kind of miss game shows on TNN. I also miss TNN in general. Well, next time we do the games of 90, which will probably be in January. It's been a long time coming, but it's time I actually review this. American Gladiators. Until next time, bye-bye!